So I am officially I am a medievalist, which is probably the most boring job title in the world. Before becoming one, I was very interested in two conceptual questions that I'm hoping to explore here and go on to study in postdoctoral research, etc. Which is first the question of acculturation, particularly in between societies that are supposedly antagonistic. So the case study of medieval Spain is particularly important because of the so-called Reconquista, or the conquest of Islamic Al-Andalus by the Christian realms of the north. And so what I'm interested in is how conquerors are able to reconcile cultural exchanges, influences across all kinds of aspects of daily life with this kind of military conquest, violence, etc. And I'm interested both in situations like military conquest and also interested in religion. So this is, for instance, a church from Toledo from the beginning of the 13th century during the supposedly the heyday of the Reconquest. And you can see that it is blatantly influenced by Al-Andalus. So this is the first aspect that theoretically that I'm interested. The second one is the very well-known idea of tolerance, which in Spain we call convivencia. And convivencia is very sexy concept these days. It is derived from this idea of tolerance, mostly tolerance as a virtue rather than anything else. And so the reason why I put these quotes is because tolerance is every aspect of tolerance is always put in the same bag. But in fact, even Voltaire in the same year defined it in two very different ways. So the first one is tolerance as a virtue, as an ethical virtue. And the second one is tolerance as a political method of good rulership. And he mentions the Ottomans, which is the other case study that is particularly significant these days, along with medieval Spain. So I am interested in this idea of tolerance as a political method, and also as an economic phenomenon. And the term is very complex. We still have loads of debates over it. It hasn't been resolved. But alongside with this theorization of tolerance, people like Montesquieu, like Voltaire, were very interested in the idea of constitutionalism as well, and constitutions as a way of protecting individual liberties and collective liberties. And so I'm interested in this interaction between the idea of tolerance and the idea of individual and collective liberties. And so did the American fathers, of course. And they were very inspired by the Magna Carta, and what I do is I look at the Spanish equivalent of the Magna Carta, but there are, this is one of them. But there are many such documents in Germany, in France, etc. So this is the example of the Jews of Haro in La Rioja. But there are many others to many other different communities. These are given to legal corporations, so municipalities, but also communities. And what they protect is that they allow the individual communities or municipalities to police crimes, to appoint their own judges, to raise their own taxes, to protect themselves from royal intervention, and they also adapt to local conditions. And in this case, they give the Jews of Haro the keys to the castle and the ability to kill any Christian assailants. But there are very similar examples. This is a map of all of the fueros that I study. There's also examples of the Muslims of Christian Spain, and this is how I think they would have looked like. And so a particularly important aspect of this that I am interested in is the multilingual system that they sanction. So they sanction a legal and administrative system in which every single aspect of life and interaction between communities is automatically translated. And this is how it would have looked in the court. So this is the king of Castile, and you have the Jewish scribe taking notes in Hebrew at the same time. So here, I just would like to end with a brief remark that what I think you find is that the law is, which we always see as this impermeable representation of civilizations, in fact, you see a very creative interaction between different legal systems. So often it is perceived that the Jews and the Muslims and the Christian system, legislative system, was like olive oil and vinegar, but in fact they mixed in this administrative legal salad. So thank you very much.